Let's be real, managing databases can be a total pain. It's one of those jobs that's absolutely critical, but also incredibly complex. So today, we're going to talk about a way to get rid of all that complexity so you can get back to what you're really passionate about, building amazing things. Let's jump in.
Okay, I just want to start with this one question. What if you never had to patch a database server ever again? Seriously, think about that for a second. No more late-night patching sessions, no more worrying about the latest security vulnerability for the OS, no more planning painful maintenance windows. What would you even do with all that extra time and mental energy?
Because look, here's the thing. We all get into this to build awesome applications, right? We love crafting slick front ends and writing clever code. But there's always that database lurking underneath. And managing it, well, it's a huge, non-stop job. It's super detailed, it's relentless, and if you mess it up, the whole thing can come crashing down.
Which brings us to what I kind of call the database dilemma. It's this constant battle, this tug of war between building cool new stuff and, well, just keeping the lights on. Think about it. On one hand, you've got this never-ending checklist of database chores. You've got to provision the hardware, install the OS, patch the OS, install the database, patch that. Don't forget setting up backups. I mean, the list just goes on. And on the other hand, that's where all the fun stuff is. That's writing code, designing new features, actually delivering something cool to your users. Every single hour you spend on that first list is an hour you can't spend on the second.
So, how do we get out of this loop? How do we solve this dilemma? Well, that's where Amazon RDS comes into the picture.
So what is it? Basically, Amazon Relational Database Service, or RDS as everyone calls it, is a service that's built to do one thing really, really well. Take all that administrative heavy lifting off your plate. It's not trying to replace your database, it just manages it for you. It automates all those tedious tasks we were just talking about so you can finally get back to building your app.
And what's so cool about this is the flexibility. This isn't some weird proprietary system you have to lock yourself into. Nope. It supports the database engines you're probably already using. You've got your open source favorites like Postgres and MySQL, MariaDB, but it also handles the big commercial players like Oracle and SQL Server. And they even have their own cloud-native engine, Amazon Aurora. The bottom line is, you can probably bring your existing apps over without some massive, painful rewrite.
Okay, so that sounds great, but how does RDS actually pull this off? Well, it all boils down to one word: automation.
First up, it is a fully managed service. And what that really means is that AWS handles all the stuff underneath: the servers, the operating system, getting the software installed, and, this is the big one, all the patching and maintenance. It just happens automatically in the background. You don't even have to think about it.
Then there are backups. You know that sinking feeling when a bad deployment messes up your data? Well, with RDS, you get automated backups and this amazing thing called point-in-time recovery. You can literally roll back your database to the exact second before things went wrong. It's an incredible safety net, and you didn't have to write a single backup script to get it.
And what about when your app blows up and gets super popular? Normally, scaling a database is a huge, stressful project. With RDS, you can scale up your compute, your memory, your storage, usually in just a few minutes and often with zero downtime. I've heard stories of teams going from spending like 20 hours a week on database maintenance to just 2 hours after they switched. That's a game changer.
Of course, all this power means nothing if your data isn't secure, right? Well, RDS has you covered with multiple layers of protection. Your database lives inside what's called an Amazon VPC, which is basically your own private, walled-off section of the cloud. On top of that, RDS makes it super easy to encrypt your data, both when it's just sitting on a disk, which we call at rest, and when it's flying across the network or in transit. And getting started is ridiculously simple. It's pretty much a 4-step process. 1, you launch an instance in the AWS console. 2, you pick your database engine, from that list we saw. 3, AWS does all the hard work of provisioning and configuring everything for you. And 4, it just gives you a connection string. You point your application to it, and that's it. You're up and running. All right, so let's put this head-to-head. The old way versus the RDS way. This is where you can really see the magic.
Just look at this comparison. On the left, you've got the manual grind, buying hardware, installing and patching software, setting up backups, figuring out how to scale everything by hand. Every single one of those is a huge time eater. Now look at the right, the RDS way. No hardware to manage, patching is handled for you, backups are automatic, and scaling is literally just a few clicks. It's a completely different world. It's a fundamental change in how your team spends its time. And all of this leads to the most important point of all, which is being able to focus on what actually matters.
If there is just one thing you take away from this, it should be this idea. You focus on your app, and you let AWS manage your database. That's the core promise of Amazon RDS. You get to stop being a part-time database admin and go back to being a full-time developer, an innovator, a builder. You worry about your app's code and features, and let the database management just happen. So I'll just leave you with this final question. When you take away all that boring, heavy lifting, the work that has to be done but doesn't actually make your product special, what does that free you up to do? What new features could you dream up? What wild new ideas could you finally explore? With all that time back, what will you build next?